Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you had an amazing new year, good time off if you did, and just took it easy for a bit. I know I did, but very excited to get back to it. So today I wanted to go through a live session that we shot for an artist called Miles Smith at the end of last year. Just going to do a bit of a breakdown over the live session, the shots, the angles, the gear, all that good stuff. We shot it at Konk Studios in London, which is this amazing location with lots of musical history. It's been home to the Kinks, Adele, Massive Attack, Arctic Monkeys, the list goes on. To start off the breakdown, we're going to quickly talk about the cameras that we used. We used the Sony a7S III. We were using two of them just so we could run two angles at the same time. Even though the camera is nearly 4 years old, it's still an amazing camera and probably will continue to be my daily driver until the camera breaks, I guess. Yeah, it's an amazing camera. The low light performance is great, dynamic range is amazing, autofocus second to none. Yeah, amazing camera. For lenses, we'll be using the Sigma Art lenses. We used, and I think it was the 24-70 2.8, the 35 1.4 and the 85 1.4. More on the 85 later. Each lens had a 1/4 Pro Mist on them just to help soften up the contrast and just take away that kind of digital edge that you get with most mirrorless cameras. And the Sigma lenses are pretty sharp. They're all like photo lenses, so it was just to help mitigate that a little bit. For lighting, we used a combination of aperture and Amaran lights and some practicals that were there on set when we got there. The aperture lights are just really handy to have. The side of sling cap is amazing. We were using the f22C, two 200Xs and a Aperture Nova P300C. The f22C was the main key light for our talent, and that was just boomed overhead, camera left, just out of the way. It's the smallest and softest light that I've got in terms of footprint, so that's why we use that. The first 200X was used at the back of the room just to bring up level, and it was matched to the pot lights in the ceiling in terms of white balance, just so when we did change our camera's white balance, everything lined up. The other acted as a hair light, which was rigged to a auto pole, and if you don't know what an auto pole is, neither did I until I needed one, but it's basically a great bit of kit that allows you to mount lights or whatever it is that you need to mount. And we attached the light to the auto pole using a Cardellini clamp, which is another boring purchase, but they're amazing to have on set, and you can't rig lights anywhere really without them, so they come with me on every single set. Just a real quick note about the auto pole though, it can scuff walls, so normally what you would do is use some like wooden cladding or something to just put between the wall and the auto pole. And I would always check with the location manager or production or whoever it is your contact at the venue to make sure they're happy with you actually putting it up on the walls before you do. The last thing you want to do is upset anyone or step in on any toes, because if you do scuff the wall, that's on you. So just make sure everyone's aware before you do anything. In this occasion, the location manager was quite happy for us to just pop it up with no issues, and it didn't scuff the wall. Happy days. And the last light that we used was the Aperture Nova P300C, and that was placed in the, I think it's the amp isolation booth. It's the room between the live room and the control room, and there was an amp in there, so that's what I'm guessing it is, but that's where it was. And that was dialed to a cooler color temperature just because we had lots of warm practicals adding warm pools of light in the live room just to make that warm, inviting kind of feel, but we didn't want it to all be that color, so we wanted some contrast and interest. And I think that was at like 1%, so we didn't really need to use the Nova because it is stupidly powerful. We could have gotten away with another 200X or a 100D or something like that. In terms of compositions, we tried to keep it as simple as possible. We were using two cameras, so we were able to get two angles per take. We had the wide, the mid, some detail shots, just a good mixture. And Kyle, our director, always really likes sneaking in a peel behind the curtain BTS style shot. So we were quite lucky that we could get the cameras up into the piano booth to look through the glass, and we used the 24mm on the 24-70 for that, just so you could see the entire setup, you could see the lights, just to anchor home that it's not a music video, it is a live session, because you can see all the rigging, and that turned out really cool. Each angle does the checkerboard kind of look, and all that is light, dark, or dark, light, dark, like however you want to call it. But it does that just to create as much depth as possible, as much visual interest as possible, and it's super cinematic. But I think my favorite angles are the 85mm ones, and I think we're at f4 for those, so it's not wide open, but because of the compression, the background is still super blurry and nice and bokeh and all of that good stuff, and I think it is my new favorite lens just for that compression alone. For the grade, my main goal really was to try and keep it looking as warm and as inviting as possible, whilst also introducing colour separation so there's more depth and contrast and just interest in terms of what you're actually seeing. It's not just all orange. And the secret sauce was Dehancer, which I use on pretty much every single grade. It's so good. It's the best film emulation. I'm not sponsored or anything, wish I was, but it isn't. But it's the best film emulation, I think, out there. It's the one that I've gotten on with, and all I did with that was use some grain, and I think I did bloom and a lot of halation as well. So when you do see those strong backlight shots, it just looks super nice, super filmic as well. If I could go back and change anything at all about it, there's only one thing I'd really change, and I know when I say it, James the producer and Carl the director are going to be like, why would you do that? Like, no one's going to notice. It's just, yeah, it's fine, leave it. But I know some people would pick up on it, and I picked up on it, so if I can, other people can. And it's also to help grow as a DP as well, to notice these things, and that would be the key light and how soft it is. If you look in certain angles, there's like a hot spot on Talent's forehead, and it's fine, but I would have just liked that to be a little bit softer and just more even across his face. So to do that, I would have either gotten a bigger light source in or flagged up another piece of diffusion just to soften it even more and even it out. That does introduce other issues like just spill in the room, which we would need more space to sort out. But yeah, I would have liked to have done that. And also, this is more of like I would like it, but it's not the end of the world at all. Neither's the previous one, but I would have liked to have use different lenses other than the Sigma Arts. They're really good, they're clinically sharp if that's what you're after, but they're a bit boring as well because they are so sharp. I would have liked a lens with a bit more character, maybe like an anamorphic or something like that, or just a weird lens, maybe the Helios or something like that. But again, not the end of the world. It's a live session, it looks good, it looks true to life, which is sometimes all you need it to be, just as my personal preference. Yeah, I would have liked those two things to be different. But that's about it for this one. If you want to go and watch the full live session, I'll leave a link in the bio below. Go and give Miles a follow. He's an amazing artist who's absolutely deserving of your time, your ears, your attention, all of that. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing, commenting down below. Let me know what you liked, if you would do anything differently, or if you've got any questions, more than happy to answer. But other than that, I shall see you in the next one. Peace.